Hello friends. Traditionally, our Indian society is considered to be a male-dominated society. Women have often been referred to as the weaker sex and also considered to be those dependent upon the men folks of the family. This conservative mentality has undergone a sea change in the modern era. In fact, the social fabric has also undergone immense transformation. This has been possible on account of the enhanced educational status of women. Education, along with aspirations for better living, has changed the socio-economic status of women immensely. In view of the same, today I am going to discuss about the legal rights of a woman in our Indian society. My objective is not to quote the complicated legal provisions from the legislation, but to provide a simplified interpretation of the laws with respect to the women in India. So talking about the rights of Indian women, they can be broadly categorized under 5 different heads. This categorization is merely for the sake of convenience and is not a watertight compartment. So the first set of rights are the constitutional rights, the second, matrimonial right, third, right against violence, fourth, right to personal health and safety, and fifth, rights of the working woman. Talking about the constitutional rights, it needs to be understood that a constitution is the most basic document which lays down the fundamental principles with which our country is governed. It grants us certain very important and special rights. Like Article 14 talks about equality before law and equal protection of law. Article 15 prohibits any kind of discrimination between the citizens on ground of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, etc. Article 16 grants equality of opportunity in matters of employment. Article 21 grants the right to life and liberty. Article 23 provides us the right against exploitation, and so on. It is to be noted that while our constitution strictly prohibits any kind of discrimination, under Article 15, subclause 3, a state is allowed to enact provisions for the protection and safety of women. This is a kind of positive discrimination which further enhances the principle of equality enshrined in our constitution. Whenever our fundamental rights are violated, we are free to approach the higher courts. And all the laws which are enacted in our country needs to be in conformity with our constitution. Now the second set of rights are the matrimonial rights. In India, whenever a woman gets married, she acquires the right to live in her husband's household. That house is known as the matrimonial house of the woman. In the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act, the term used is shared household, and the rights of the woman are protected under Section 17 of the said Act. A woman cannot be thrown out of that house. In fact, a woman has a right to approach the magistrate and seek an injunction order in case her husband or any other relatives try to dispossess her of her right. Besides the right to live, a woman also has a right to maintenance for herself and also for her children. If a woman does not want to file for divorce right away, she can file an application under Section 125 of the Criminal Procedure Code and also Section 20 of the Domestic Violence Act. The maintenance should be such so as to fulfill the basic expenses and regular needs of the person concerned. The quantum of maintenance is generally decided on the basis of total income of the husband and also the lifestyle of the parties concerned. Now the next set of rights is a right against violence. So far as the right of a woman against domestic violence is concerned, the term domestic violence is defined under Section 3 of the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act. It talks about 4 kinds of violence: the physical violence, the sexual violence, the emotional violence, and the economic violence. The Domestic Violence Act seeks to protect the right of a woman to live a life free from violence. A woman is free to obtain an injunction order against her husband and the other relatives in order to restrain them from committing any act of violence against her. We have already discussed about her right to live and the right to claim maintenance, and she also has a right to claim custody of her children. Besides, a woman is also entitled to seek custody of her belongings, which constitutes her stridhan. Dowry-related harassments are strictly prohibited under the Dowry Prohibition Act 1961, which makes demanding of dowry a punishable offence. Besides, if a married woman dies within 7 years of her marriage in unnatural circumstances or in a suspicious manner, Section 304B of the Indian Penal Code can be invoked, which deals with dowry death. If a woman commits suicide, then in that case, Section 306 of the Indian Penal Code can be invoked, which deals with abetment to suicide. If a woman is subjected to cruelty, then Section 498A of the Indian Penal Code is there, which can be invoked and which deals with the subject of cruelty in great detail. If a woman is denied her stridhan, then in that case, Section 406 of the Indian Penal Code can be invoked, which deals with criminal breach of trust. In case of sexual offences, Section 354 of the Indian Penal Code strictly prohibits committing of any kind of assault or using criminal force by a man against a woman with the intention to outrage her modesty. Section 354A further considers making of physical contact, any kind of advances, seeking sexual favor, or making sexually colored remark as strictly punishable. The subsequent sections also strictly prohibit disrobing of a woman, watching, capturing, or disseminating the image of a woman is also considered to be a serious offense. Stalking is a serious offense, and so on. We all know, as a matter of general information, that Section 375 of the Indian Penal Code strictly prohibits the offense of rape. However, in a recent Supreme Court judgment, it was observed by the Honorable Court that even consensual sex on false promise of marriage amounts to rape. It was observed by the court that if a false promise of marriage wasn't made, the girl would have never consented to have sex with the person. Here, the consent was obtained by cheating and deception, and hence clearly fell within the purview of rape. Then we have a right of a woman to personal health and safety. We have the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, which legalizes abortions. And a woman also has a right to confidentiality in this matter. However, this act was often subject to misuse, and a woman who was carrying a female fetus was often compelled to undergo abortion. Hence, in order to curb this negative trend, a new act named Preconception and Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act was enacted in the year 1994. Here, identification of the sex of the fetus has been strictly prohibited, which most often leads to female feticide. The next set of rights are the rights of a working woman. Our Constitution empowers our state to make special provision for the protection of women from abuse and exploitation, and also prevent discrimination against them. Some of the laws which have been specially enacted for women are Equal Remuneration Act 1976, the Minimum Wages Act 1948, the Maternity Benefits Act 1961, Then Protection of Women from Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act 2013, etc. So friends, this was a brief encapsulation of the women-oriented laws in our country. We need to understand that despite all these legislations, crime against women in India take place almost every second. We need to be legally aware of our rights so that we can fight against the various injustices taking place at our workplace, in the society, and even within the closed doors of our home. All these legislations would be of no use until and unless we rise to the occasion and assert our rights firmly whenever they are ignored, suppressed, or trampled upon. So friends, that's all for today. For more details and personalized queries, you can please contact me on my email ID, which is singrishika9@gmail.com. So see you next week with a fresh video. Thank you.